Hey guys, it's Dave from Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, hang out with this nerd.
Ted?
And what's this dungeon master to do when his good adventurers go bad?
Jump down to the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter. Get weekly gaming tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So we have a GM 911 from Griffin, and which you can find that GM 911 in the description below. If you have your own GM 911, send it to nerdarchy@gmail.com or even just suggestions. So basically, he has a party. He started all the adventurers off with weak magic items. They're a low level party. Basically, it's a noble patron, and now when I guess one of the players asked, "Hey, where'd you get these magic items?" He's like, "I got a vault. They were in there." So now one of the players is like, "Oh, a vault with magic items, eh?"
Excellent. So
that guy's a dick, first of all, because he wants to rob the noble that just gave him a present.
I don't know whether it was here's some magic items as a incentive to go do this quest, or whether it was a hey, you completed a quest, thank you, here you go. Didn't really say, right?
No. It's basically they completed a quest for a dungeon gift, and then they were gifted by this noble.
Okay, all right. So they did a quest first, but players are interested in going and robbing this guy. Bad players, you're supposed to be heroes. But what do you actually do? Well, they're a low-level party. You could seriously mess with them without having any real consequences falling on them because, all right, if this noble honestly has a vault full of magic items or a vault that has some magic items in it, he's probably got it protected. He's probably got it. It could be warded. It could be guarded. Anytime players decide that they want to do a heist, heists need to be done with preparation. And if they surveil the place, they do their surveillance work, and they realize, holy crap, there's things that we can't deal with, maybe they'll back off.
And if they don't, this is one of those cases where I would have no problem with putting a more powerful trap in there that might incinerate one of them. They're kind of being dicks, so F them. And like Ted said, you're playing to be heroic, and if this guy is powerful enough to have a vault full of magic items, then he's going to have the ability to protect them more than likely. So there's that. The other thing is maybe there isn't any more magic items. I read the GM 911. I don't see anywhere where it says I have a vault full of magic items. Maybe he gave what he had already, or maybe they do pull off the heist and now they're won it because now this guy's looking for whoever stole his magic items. Maybe he's beloved in the town and even the fences won't touch his stuff.
There's numerous different paths that you can take, and it really comes down to you as the GM. What kind of game do you want to run? If you allow players to do non-heroic actions and you as the DM want to run a heroic game, you have to, I hate using the word punish, but you have to incentivize your players to play the kind of game that you want to. So I look at this as a player comes up with an idea that I'm not happy with. How can I stop that train of thought as soon as possible? Now, I wouldn't go right down the road of, well, let's incinerate one of them. All right, well, you can have the guards do non-lethal damage. You can have them kidnapped. You can have them arrested. Literally caught
It's not really
red-handed.
Kidnapping if you break into someone's house.
I used the wrong word. They're not kidnapped, but they're caught. They're arrested. All of their stuff is taken. You now remove the magic items that were gifted, and you say, look, you can't have those because you're not worthy of them. Make them have to go on a quest to prove themselves, the heroes that they're supposed to be for the town and for this noble. And he doesn't want to give them quests anymore. He doesn't want to reward them because they went back on their word because they tried to rob from him.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. One, you have to decide what is the punishment for theft in this town. Is it weighted with depending on who you mess with, things like that. So if they get caught, what are the consequences? So they know too beforehand before they even try. Well, in this particular town, if you get caught stealing, they take your right hand, or whatever hand you write with.
Mm-hmm.
It could literally be a thing. So that's a consequence that's out there. They could be banished from this town or city. That's also a possibility. The It could be fines. It could be just or fines and jail time essentially. If you wanted to, they could be hung. Like it could be any of those things, or
Indentured servitude.
indentured servitude, slavery. It all depends on what kind of campaign you're running and what kind of what the laws of the land are. So you would follow that. Two, you would look at your noble and go, okay, well, how wealthy is he? What precautions are legitimately things that he could do? And once you figure that out, from there you would decide what the challenge is, the level of the challenges. Maybe you just go, well, you know what? Based on what I've planned for this guy and what I've thought about, he's probably a level 7 to 10 threat, right? So literally, you would kind of like build his mansion and the gauntlet they'd have to get through to go to this vault based off of that stuff. Here's the other thing. Maybe the vault isn't even at his mansion. Maybe he has it someplace else. Depending on what kind of game you're running. If you were playing an Eberron game, it could literally be he has a vault at Karnak or Karnak, I think. Banks, and like you're like, yeah, you're not getting in there. You don't even think about it. It's just not going to happen. Or it could be like the bank in Harry Potter.
Gringotts.
Yeah, so that, like there's definitely ways to go with this, and it can be a fun game too, if you want to play that kind of game. If you don't, like Ted said, there's ways to discourage it as well. And you as the GM, you can just lay out like, well, here are all the possible consequences that your character would know about. Do you think it's worth it?
So ultimately, it comes down to you as the DM. What do you want to allow happen? Because as the DM, you are all powerful. You have the ability to just literally throw up that no card and do it in a way that doesn't make you sound like being a dick. You could be like, all right, if it's like Gringotts, you're not breaking in. If it's like the bank in Eberron, Karnak, you're not getting in. It's just not
Well, I wouldn't
possible.
do it that way, but
Well, no,
you can listen. In my game, you can try whatever the frig you want.
Well,
but what happens.
But what I'm saying is, like, by throwing up the no card, as I'm saying, means it's not going to be successful. They're more than willing to try, or more than able to try, but they're not gonna make it. You can have the ability to say, oh, it's totally possible, and you can go through the heist scenario. There are plenty of games out there where people really enjoy going through the minutia of setting up and planning the heist. I recommend you watch any of the Ocean's 11 series and the breakdown of how they wind up doing things, because that's a lot of fun if that's something that you want to actually do in a game and everybody is on board, including the DM. But if that's not the game you want to run, if you want your characters to be heroes, then incentivize them to not do it. Show them the penalties, as Dave said. Give them a laundry list of seriously negative repercussions that can happen. And if you've got intelligent players and characters at the table, they might realize that, this is not a good idea. Let's just go this way.
Right. I mean, you could literally do something where, like, okay, because this is like a bank-like vault where maybe it's a third party that they have to break into, where they're going to have to bring in outsiders to get information, to figure stuff out. Well, when you start asking questions like that, and this is a low-level party with limited resources, like, what happens when the informants are like, well, we can just drop these guys' names and like make a quick 500 gold, and not even worry about it. And then the town will make an example of them, or this organization will make an example of them. Literally, the day they were planning the heist, like the watch could show up before they even do anything, and like one of their informants is with them, like up there, the guys, and they're like, well, what happened? I'm like, they paid us more, and like that could be out there too, you could put that out there that these organizations, this noble, whatever, has really deep pockets. So if you pull it off, then there's a good possibility they're going to be looking for it. This guy hired you as adventurers to go into a dungeon and paid you with magic items. Well, what's to stop him from from hiring another group of adventurers
To come find you.
Yeah. You might have to get better magic items to pay them or more. And also too, like there is just the idea of, well, wouldn't it might just be easier for you guys to keep working for him and keep getting paid. So like they're all things. And then the flip side of it is, all right, the whole game has changed. We're running a heist game now. And if you as the GM are on board for that, that's fine. But at the same time, it's important for you to enjoy the game you're running. So if you're not going to have fun with that, I wouldn't recommend doing it.
So, what do you guys think? Do you have any other suggestions for Griffin that we might have missed? There's a great place to talk about that, and that's in the comments down below. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over at nerdarchy.com.
So, until next time,
Stay nerdy.